Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? My name is Jake Pearson, and today we have with us an executive recruitment partner and certified master coach who is the one-stop shop for all things careers and personal development. We have Meghan Houle from Boston, United States. Meghan, how are you?
I'm doing so well. Thanks for having me on.
I'm super excited to have you on. Can we start, Meghan, with what does make you happy?
The $1,000,000 question. So many things, but thinking on it, two things, if I can have two things. So one, absolutely, I love all things fitness. So working out, because I feel like happy body, happy mood, it really just sets the tone for everything else for the day. I feel like when I miss those workouts, for some reason, my pep in my step is like a little different. But that's okay. We need to rest our bodies. All right. So that's that. And cats and animals, any animals. I am that girl that will walk down the streets of Boston and probably low key scare people. Anyone that has a puppy, a dog, a bird, a peacock, anything. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. Can I pet that? And everyone's like, whoa, lady. And you have to be careful because you can't just like pet all the dogs because, yeah. So I always ask, but I go nuts, and then the dog goes nuts, and I have this like high pitched voice I use, so it's pretty special. Maybe I'll come to Boston and check it out sometime.
I'm the kind of person, and I wonder if you do this too. When you're walking past someone and they've got their dog, you'll look and smile at the dog.
Oh, I smile at dogs. Yeah.
Then you maybe will give them the person kind of like a little bit of a nod, but that you've got all the attention on the dog. Like, who's you don't have a human anymore. I don't care about
1,000%. Oh yeah, and I talk to him like, hey buddy, like that.
Oh yes.
Like, who are you talking to?
Oh, like when you're going shopping or grocery shopping and there's a dog that's in the car or something, you're like, hey, how are you? And I'm like,
and then they get all fired up. I know.
Yeah. Like, oh, chill.
Yeah. Yes, I 100% do that. Yep, that's me.
It's funny you mentioned dogs. Well, I just changed my phone background to a picture of my dog.
Aww.
I don't know, just like looking at it and going, I just smile. I'm like, oh, he's such a good boy.
I know. And it's unconditional love too. I mean, that's like someone that you come home to, looks forward to, like just, all the love in the world from those sweet little animals,
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing what makes you happy. Now, this is the part where you listeners might be thinking, what is Meghan going to share with us for her piece of advice for the episode? What would you say to our listeners, who may be struggling to find something that makes them happy in their lives?
So thinking on this, I would say, beyond the fitness and the animals, another big part of my happiness, which I think really has been a learning lesson throughout my entire life, is setting boundaries. I'm so happy with myself that I've gotten to this point where I actually love saying no to people. For the right things. I mean, I feel like as a reformed people pleaser, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are the same. You want to make everybody happy. You want to say yes to everything. You want to do all the things, sometimes to your detriment, where you're burning the candle at both ends. You're showing up to things that you don't want to be at, and then you're bringing this kind of negative energy and tone because you're like, I don't want to be here. Why did I do this? And it's so powerful. And I feel like 2020 obviously gave us no choice other than to sit with ourselves and really, have those moments of peace and silence. And you're not going to the big holiday parties. You're not doing the gathering, right? So I feel like it's taken a couple of years for people to really come out, and some feel comfortable, coming into big spaces and events and things like that. I remember watching TV and I'm like, are we ever going to have concerts again? Remember early 2020, I'm like, ew, are we ever going to go and sit next to somebody? And we are. But I think what's so magical, boundaries, oh God, it brings so much joy, whether it's a career boundary where you're really setting a expectation in a business of I'm not working 14 hours a day. I'm not going to kill myself every single day and, be on this hamster wheel. And then in life too, it's not about pleasing family or parents or friends, just by doing all the things and kind of showing up inauthentically. What do you want to do? and that powerful question of like really sitting with yourself and saying like, how does this serve me? Or how does this serve my goals? And it's something I coach to in my my own practice. And I think a lot of people, just get stuck in setting boundaries, and then really, they're just feeling off track, off kilter, however you want to put it. When you can really step into your power and voice and say, you know what? If you want to see me, if you want to do this thing, here's when I'm available, here's what I want to do, and feeling no shame in saying no and not having FOMO. I call it JOMO. It's like the joy of missing out. So that's my piece of advice today, people. Embrace the JOMO. Okay, everyone. Even now that we're back, and I think now, Jake, more than ever, that like everything here, especially in the US, is back. People are kind of back to these routines where they're like, I got to do it. The kids and this and that. It's like, no, if we learned anything, the hustle, the burnout culture, all of it, like people like just give yourself a moment and don't do the things that you should think that you should be doing. Do the things that you want to do. That's it. Amen.
Amen. And I thought I wanted to add to that, but then you continued to cover my point anyway. So, Meghan, beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing all things that make you happy and that wonderful piece of advice there at the end.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Protect your energy, protect your peace.
And learn to say no. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Meghan. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest and follow us on all our social media platforms and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.